Hi, in this short video I'm going to work on two panels that I have treated with acrylic paste and gels. So there's this one which is 30 centimeters square that has paint in paste and gels and some dribbled on. And this one, which is one of four, the same design, that in my Smashing Surfaces workshops I have been painting on top of. And I'm going to paint on both of these with oil and cold wax medium. Okay, I'm going to go into this panel I did a couple of days ago. It's dry. It's a mixture of ceramic tile adhesive and light moulding paste and some dribbled on clear tar gel that I've mixed with some teal. Okay, I've mixed colours in with the paste, as you can see. I could now, if I wanted to, not going to because I want to rush it, but I could go into this with some mark making tools. So I could go into this with some Posca pens or some Stabilo crayons if I wanted some more colours down here. I could go into it with more acrylic if I wanted more acrylic on there, different colours, dribble on more acrylics. I could go quite a long way, okay? There will come a point where I decide I want to move into, and this one I'm going to move into oil and cold wax medium. At that point, it's stop the acrylics. Okay, now I've just done a little bonus video on paint, and in that is about paints, about using oil paint or buying oil paint, what types of oil paints are available, mediums that are available, and oil and cold wax. Okay, so I'm not going to clutter this one up. This is more about the painting. At the point I've decided this is good to go, then I need to do one thing to this, okay, which is give it a coat of a clear gesso. There are others. This is the Liquitex one I use, but there are other brands, and Golden Maker super loaded matte medium that is similarly gritty, because basically, even though I know most of this is quite absorbent, the clear tile gel certainly isn't absorbent, and I don't want my oil paint to be sliding about, really. I want it, imagine it's climbing a wall, okay? It needs to hang on to something. So I want my oil paint to hang on to this painting by the skin of its teeth. Some Winsor & Newton green gold with some titanium white, and it's a 50-50 oil and cold wax mix. And I've lost my spreader. And this will be one of a number of layers, all right? I'm not going to get this finished, but I'll keep posting pictures of my work as it goes through over the next few weeks. And basically, all I need to do with this is to lather it on wherever I want it. And I could do different colours, all right? So I'm just going to use up this bit and just show you what it does. So if I go super thick, or even, oh my God, I have to show you this, right? New roller, specially made for Jackson's, although I'm probably sure they're now available anywhere else. I did a blog post on this roller. It's a soft roller. Up until now, they've been impossible to get in the UK. You can now buy a soft roller. I think it's a 25 Shore from Jackson's. Okay, so I could roll it on. Okay, it's lovely stuff to roll on. And the reason why you'd want a soft roller, and there's links on my website to take you to the page. Okay, if you go to I did an article on rollers. How dull am I? There's links. Okay, you'll find it. The reason why you want a soft roller is I'm wanting it to leave a lot of paint. A hard roller will just push the paint around. Okay. Or I can use my spreader. Okay. Now, on purpose, I've got an opaque colour. If I'd gone down onto this with transparents, you wouldn't see them. It's too dark, okay? You need lights in order for transparent colours to work. As I said, this is probably it will be, on average, 8 layers, I think. I've never actually counted. But what's nice about these textures is that even without the roller, look, I'm getting some lovely textures happening. I can either leave the paint super thick and I can still see the textures coming through, particularly here, or what I've done with this area where I rolled that foam roller over, so I've got some real furrows happening here. I'm pushing it right into the grooves, and then I'm taking it off the surface. Oh, okay, I'll do a close-up so you can see what's happening there. That is lovely, but I can keep reworking it. All right, it's not like working with acrylic. If you haven't seen them already, there's a series of 5 videos on oil and cold wax painting. So if this is something that excites you, then a bit of binge watching of those might help. Or hopefully after lockdown, you can make it to one of my workshops. So what I mean is I push that right in, and then I'm going over the top. Okay, so I'm getting this stripy thing happening. Over here, where I've got the clear tar gel swirls, remember that's quite high. It is not super flat, so it's raised. All right, it's higher than the surface underneath it, and the same thing applies. If I scrape it off, I'm revealing. Probably want to have a bit more underneath, just for the sake of it. So I can go back and back and back and back and back and back and back. You probably got a couple of hours working time before it begins to go a little bit sticky. Okay. Now this area here that I rolled on, okay, I can either leave the texture of the roller, okay, because the roller's leaving a texture. And remember, I've got the whole plate to play with, the whole panel to play with, or I can take some of it away to reveal the textures underneath. All right, so I've got some really interesting differences happening here. I've got this texture underneath with that indigo, okay, and then I've got the texture of the roller. And if I want a different texture altogether, I could smooth out one of these with my spreader. Okay. I can carry on working on this. I could change the color. You can only put down one layer at a time. I can have more than one color on a layer. So I could carry on mixing up paint, move over to here. But then I need to let that set up. Okay. It needs to harden off overnight, ideally, half a day, maybe, depending on how thick and your climate. But I'm loving what's happening in here. In Smashing Surfaces number 2, I made these canvases coated with acrylic paste and gels. It's a golden set, so you could always look at that if you want to. I made a few of them. One of them I've made with paint in the paste and gels. One I've painted on with acrylics. One I painted on with oils. This one I'm going to paint on with oil and cold wax medium. This is one of 4 panels that I have, canvases that I have treated fairly similarly with acrylic paste and gels. This one I'm going to work on with oil and cold wax medium. I have given it a coat of Liquitex clear gesso. It could have been any gesso, but I wanted to make sure it was evenly absorbent. And I've also mixed up my oil and cold wax medium, 50-50 ratio of oil and cold wax. I've done a workshop on oil and cold wax, so if you want to know more about it, you can head over there. But let's get going. Now, by the nature of the oil and cold wax, it's thick. So you need to kind of let it do its thick thing. I'm not used to working on canvas. I normally work on a panel. And I have actually mixed this slightly more paint to wax, because that is recommended in order if you're working on a flexible surface. But this is a small panel. I'm not going to worry too much about it. You can, most of the time when I'm working with oil and cold wax, I'm working with lots of different layers. With this panel, I'm really working alla prima, which is just, you know, one layer, really, alla prima, the first. I won't go back into this, although if I feel it needs it, you could always go back in with glazing. One of the joys of using cold wax medium is you don't have, got something in there, you don't have those worries about fat over lean. As long as there's some wax in your mix, it can go as thin as you like or as thick as you like anywhere. Okay, so I'm brushing this a bit just to give you an idea. So the difference with doing it with oil to the cold wax medium is this really needs working in. The oil paint I use fairly fluid. I can loosen this up, and I will do for the really gritty areas. But we're getting there. And of course you have, as with oil paint, you have a long working time. Okay, so it's not like working with acrylics, but it does, the cold wax will dry quicker than straight oil. The cold wax has an effect on the oil paint which accelerates its drying time. Okay, I'm going in here. I'm going to have to use a brush. Where's my brush gone? Oh, here it is. I'm using a little bit of Galkid to loosen it so I can rub it into this area of, this is light moulding paste. Okay, I'm just rubbing it in. I want to keep those textures. I don't want to obliterate the textures. Now, if I wanted to go back into this, I'd probably leave it a couple of hours, or probably half a day actually, in order to set up. But I'm going to see how far I can get without having to. Let's get some down in there. And then I'm going up into this. This area here. So I'm using a short handle brush because I'm working on a small piece. I quite like a short handle brush, and this is a short filbert, and it's a stiff one. You want a stiff job. This isn't a job for a soft brush. I'm really getting. Sometimes I even paint. Certainly, those people who see me doing printmaking, I'll often use old toothbrushes just to get the paint in to all these areas. Stippling it through. A bit of variety of colour. The joy, again, another nice thing about the cold wax is it's quite sculptural. In the same way as we built texture with our pastes and gels, you can build texture with the cold wax. I'm going to go up here. Put some more lights in this bit. Finally, I'm going to do as I did with the other one. If you head over to the Smashing Surfaces number 3 with the oil paint, I went right in to this really thick area. So I want to use those textures I have. I don't want to obliterate them. But by really pushing the paint, it's a bit like peanut butter consistency with the cold wax. By really pushing it in, and then get a tool, or a cloth would do. I'm going to get a tool. Look what's happening there. Okay, scraping it off the surface. Okay, I've got some really, that's really lovely. I'll try doing that a bit. Just basically what I'm doing, I'm taking it off those very top layers. Okay, which is kind of revealing them. So the paint's inside. I want to get some lights in here. And because the cold wax is really thick, it's almost one thing that attracted me to using cold wax is it is not dissimilar to a printing ink. Okay, so if you think about how thick a printing ink is, I can use a roller. This is one of the new rollers that are now available from Jackson's in the UK. I've written a blog post about rollers on my website and why a roller like this, a soft roller, is ideal to use with oil and cold wax. It's going to leave quite a bit behind. So what I can do now, I can just go in with my roller, and that's really giving me some, it's picking up on the surface. Okay, and I can go in with dark as well. I'm going to use this piece of paper down here to get a good roll going. I want some blues. Let's go in. Yeah, I mean, I've rushed that. I could keep working on that. I'd probably let it set up for a bit before I go back in again. Finally, I'm not sure it's going to let me, but we'll see whether I can get that headland in. And again, I'm going to go back to my scraper. I want it a cold colour because it's far away. And again, I'm going to turn this around this way and just, maybe not. Got a bit of resistance. I'm going to have to let it set up, I think. Oh, that's not too bad. It's a bit pale. Okay, we get the idea. Okay, so that's oil and cold wax. Very quickly done. Okay, nothing goes to waste. So what I'm doing on this one now, finally, just for this, finishing it off, I'm using up the paint that I had from that landscape, and I've mixed it all together, and I've rolled it onto the other half of this panel. And again, I can kind of move into it. I can scrape it off, get some interesting things happening in terms of textures and lines. Scratch into. Etc. Okay, so I'm going to keep working on that. See how I get on. So thanks for watching these. It's been great fun just doing these little extra bonus videos, and I'll see you in the next Smashing Surfaces.